I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks. Do we have citizen statements and petitions? Anybody that wants to address the board? All right, then let's go into correspondence. I know we can talk about the Town Hall Art Project, and I think Ellen Gould is there.
Yes.
Yeah, come right up.
Hi, I'm Ellen. I'm from the, on the Cultural Council, and the state gives us funds, which we put into a revolving account. And every year we are given a certain percentage to do with of our own kind of choice, how we get to use it. There are some parameters and guidelines on how to use this money. And so far we only have $1,000, which isn't much, but our thought was that maybe we could use it as perhaps get an artist who would be interested in doing something in the outdoor space that's being renovated. We didn't see this happening until it was completed, like next year. So in that time period, there's certainly more time to add money to that. We get another little percentage of our funds that we can put into there. We're planning on going, if this all goes through, going to the Mendon Fair, the Lions Fair, and putting up a booth and looking for donations to that project if it goes forward. The money does not get handled any other way than through the revolving account that we have. So it goes directly to the artist and not to the town of Mendon. Okay. So I'm here to answer any other questions that you have.
I do not have another question. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, I was kind of, I don't know what $1,000 is going to give us, not much, but you never know. Artists certainly can reach out to other funding venues, and artists think outside the box more than we do. So I think they can come up with some creative ideas. We plan on working with it, not just selecting the project when the grants, when the proposals come in. We're going to work with the land use committee to pick someone. It wouldn't just be us doing this. This is not something that we want to exclude anyone from.
Awesome, great.
Okay.
Cindy, you had a question?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would suggest to you is, I've seen this done in other communities. You might want to see, particularly where you have all this lead time, if there are any grants available that could help.
I think that would be up to the artist to look for other grants, because this is our grant. We are granting.
Oh, this is the grant. Okay.
This is a grant, yes. So they have to apply for it like they would just like through a similar grant to us directly, rather than going through the state website, but it is a grant. And we could give them a little seed money if they requested it, and then they would get the rest of it on completion of the project.
No, I think it's a great idea, and I've seen a lot of towns do this, and it's been great.
Ellen, do you have any guidelines that you
we've been working with with our representative from the state, and he's given us some suggestions on how to do the official, it's called a call to artists, which gives the parameters of what we're looking for and the timeline, and we'll put a link in it to the plans. And certainly if we're doing this like next year, they would be able to come and walk through it and get an idea of what the space looks like.
Yeah, that partly answers my question. So you were imagining somewhere on the town campus, were you imagining like something sculptural or something mural-like?
I have no idea. I think I think that's where we step back and we let the artists propose things, because people have said, oh, you can have them painters, or you could have them do this. And I'm thinking, I've run into other artists that have actually done proposals like this, and they've taken historic photos, put them on tiles. The tiles are placed into the environment. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that we can't even imagine that they probably can.
I also think it's a great idea. I mean, I love public art, so I think, yeah.
Okay, we're excited about it. We hope it comes together, and we're hopeful. So we got you guys okay? This is, yes?
Yeah,
Move
yeah,
forward?
definitely.
Okay,
Yep.
Absolutely.
great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Right. Well, don't go away yet.
I'm sorry. No. Oh, we're next again, Peter? Agricultural Commission?
Yes, we have another item on here about sign placement requests. And I know the first part was the right to farm town bylaw or a sign about right to
Yes.
farm. So we wanted to talk about that. I'll let you talk about that and tell us what your idea is for a sign.
My printer ran out of ink. I was gonna come with some other towns that have signs. They can be very simple. That's really what we're looking for. So that when people come into town and they're looking at properties, we're hoping that 16, like where we enter town and then maybe on 140.
Providence Road, different.
So that way,
Rural areas.
so when visitors come through, or maybe even people that want to buy in London, they're going to see some of these signs and hopefully they're going to say, oh, what does that mean? And they're going to have an idea. So we're looking for, I looked on our town website and I see information about putting up private property signs, that kind of thing, or voting signs or things like that. So we're looking for guidance on how we go about getting approval for doing something like this.
Well, we do have a sign bylaw.
Okay,
It's section 2.06. It's on the website. I know I've actually seen a few, right to farm community signs, and they look like a typical, almost like a traffic sign that's right at the entrance to the town at the different borders that just says this is, Mendon is a right to farm community. Is that what you were thinking? I know you just kind of gave some thoughts, but.
Yeah, not as big as the Mendon Drive-In, but something,
there are some cute ones that have a little green tractor and then it says Mendon right to farm town, so I mean, and we were thinking of getting the funds to print them. We just don't know, but you told us it's, if you want to forward, what was it, 6.0 or I don't remember.
2.06. I see in that section, it does specifically exclude municipal signs from the bylaw. So
Yeah.
when I look at that, I would think that this would be a municipal sign.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. It's not something that would go on private property. We want to put it out on the edge of the road, a few feet off the road, like a stop sign would, or a speed limit sign, that kind of thing.
Yeah, right now there's even, I think, one down on Bates that talks about this, one of the sports state champions.
Yeah, so I don't know the approval process for getting that done. That's
Yeah,
what,
so I don't think there's any necessary approval process from us. It doesn't require any permits from the town for a municipal sign. So I would just probably work with the highway department. That's generally where we get all the signs and whatever they cost.
so I don't need a letter to say, hey, that we're out, this select board.
Cindy, town council has a comment on it.
I have some concerns with the way the bylaw is written. I agree, there should be a way to do this, and I think it is most likely to be considered a municipal sign. But when I look at 206B4, I don't know that I think it fits within the definition because it's defined in terms of like safety, emergency notification. So what we may want to think about doing so that we can do this is broaden the definition of municipal sign. That's my concern. The other concerns I have are where it's going to be located and who owns the property and where it will be, because it can't be on anything that's not municipally owned without getting approval of the owner or the owner being the applicant. We can't give approval to put it on a right of way that's a state highway. Like we couldn't give you approval to put it on 109 or something like that. So I think,
Especially since 109 isn't in Mendon, so.
that's right. I only take it home from Mendon. 16, is that the one that comes all the way through?
16 or 140, but I just would say, I tend to agree with Lonnie where it says it's municipal sign, because it says, identifying municipal offices or functions. And since we are a right to farm community, that is a municipal function. So I think it does fall within it, but I would suggest like Lonnie did, that he talk with the chief, that the committee talk with the highway department and also the probably the building inspector, because he does have some role in inspecting signs or making sure that they conform.
Okay, I did shoot off an email to the highway department recently, we'll say that, and I'm waiting to hear back. I just didn't know if I needed to like get some kind of, because, you know, I don't want one department not thinking this is okay with another. I mean, I didn't know if there was something official we needed to do. So that was our concern.
Mhm.
Because if we feel it should go on municipal property, not private property. If it's on private property, it has to have a setback of it, and then people aren't going to see it. So this was our concern, that it goes on municipal property. And so positioning it, you know, the printing it's not a problem. It's how do we get this
So,
put up?
yeah,
So
so
the
if we-
highway- so you
if
think
we
it's
deem-
not-
Let's move with it as a municipal function.
So if it's a municipal sign, then, I mean, I don't think that, I think that we have the, again, Alan's gonna know this answer
Okay.
better. He is on vacation. I know he's
Okay,
away.
all right.
So, but the town owns the a fee in the road, if you will,
Okay.
off so many feet for widening of the road. So we put our other signs in it, or we
Okay.
can put them. I think that we're gonna find that, other than maybe we might need to just send something to the state. But again, Alan will know this answer
Okay.
better than us, just because he's done it so many
All
times.
right.
So I think if we start with Alan, then we can, anything along the way that we need, any hurdles that we can help you jump over, then
We're
we'll,
probably not gonna get it, we'll do a few a year. We'll just
yeah.
raise into this.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. All right.
Well, we thought it was a good way, especially with the rooster thing and
Yeah.
people moving in
Yep.
and kind of, this gives people a heads up. Another step towards giving people a heads up what kind of community we are.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree.
all right, so we'll work with the highway department.
Yeah, and we can help too, whatever.
Okay,
whatever you
great.
need. So, but again, Alan is gonna be back next week. I know
Okay,
he's-
perfect. Thank you very much.
You reminded me as you were talking, so kind of as an aside, so the Worcester Telegram and Gazette is running Mendon as their zip code or whatever of the week this
Oh,
week.
okay.
And I wrote in there, strong agriculture focus, right to farm community in the blurb. So
Okay.
you'll see it in there when it goes. Just your timing is.
So we did have a meet and greet last Sunday at my farm. We had probably 25 people
Oh,
Awesome.
really?
involved in agriculture in Mendon.
Oh.
Yeah, and we plan on doing that twice a year, so that way we can catch
Good.
the interest of new people that are coming to town and give them a little guidance.
I didn't know about it. Could you
was a
send us?
party
'Cause I
in
would,
town
that-
I would have stopped by.
Okay.
Uh,
We've been putting it on Facebook, but we probably
that's
need to.
probably why I don't
we
have-
probably- And I think it was on once or twice on there's a page called the Mendon Bulletin Board or something, so
Okay.
we kind of popped it there. But
Gotcha.
yeah, and then we collected some emails, so we'll be able to do some direct emailing also.
And if you let us know too, we can probably, talk about it in a selectmen's meeting, so it's out there
Okay,
too, and
cool.
possibly even get it, put it on, does anybody run the agricultural portion of the webpage? Because you guys should have access to be able to put events on there too.
Yeah, I'm not that computer
Exactly.
good, but Dan's been helping when we need to post stuff. He's been giving me guidance on how to get that done.
Right.
Okay,
So it looks like we may have the rooster thing under control almost,
Oh, good.
as a nuisance, not as an agricultural problem, but as a health nuisance.
Okay.
So the Board of Health and the animal inspector.
yeah, we're all working together
Working
now,
on that.
so we got them all on board.
Oh, good.
So that's good.
Excellent. That's great news.
Yeah,
Alright.
that's what we try to do in the first place. That's great. Thank you very
But
much.
things take time.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
We have another issue with the sign placement. There was an email back at the beginning of the month about a memorial sign.
Mhm. So I spoke to the representative for Mothers Against Drunk Driving about their desire to place a memorial sign for someone. They provided an example of the type of sign that they would put. Obviously, this is not the name, and they would find a location in town where they would put the sign if that would work with us to find a location if we were agreeable. So she was just looking for some follow-up, and I wasn't sure if we had ever handled something like this before in town.
I don't recall it.
Not that I know of.
Is it obviously a resident that's
Yes.
asking about this?
Cindy, you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm the bad guy tonight. It's like just the way it goes. I think the idea is a wonderful one. I think there's a lot of consideration that has to go into it, and I don't think it's black and white. The other one I think is pretty clear, and I agree. It falls under the municipal function. This is not a municipal sign. I think you need to be very cautious about making sure that you have the permission of the family to use the person's name. I think you also have to then be concerned about how it gets to go up under your bylaw and what district it's in and who gets to do it. I mean, if it's a temporary thing, that's one thing, but if it's a permanent thing, I think this one is more problematic under your bylaw because it's really a private memorial type of event. So unless it's on that person's property or some private property that has said yes, I think there are more issues surrounding it for the municipality to put it on their property.
Cindy, question about that. Could there be an argument that this would be serving public safety because it's a reminder about DWIs?
I would feel better about that argument if you didn't have it directed at a particular person.
Mhm.
If it was just a public safety message, don't drink and drive or something like that. I think you're getting into close lines. And it would be good to know, and it sounds like that you have at least the family support for this.
When I look at the bylaw, it talks about, under administration, enforcement, it's the duty of the building inspector to administer and enforce the provisions of the signed bylaw. So maybe we could direct them to come up with their plans with the building inspector, and then if he has a question, he can bring it to us does that make sense?
Well, actually, you're correct in that the select board is not the permitting authority for signs. And so they can't do anything without going to the building inspector. So it might be better off if they just go do all their background work with him. But those are the types of issues they have to be concerned about.
Okay.
So- Sorry.
No, go ahead, Lonnie. Go ahead.
Yeah, I slightly conflicted with this because obviously, you want to put up memorials wherever you can, right? Where do we draw the line? And who defines that line? That, yes, let's do them for DUIs, but not for any other type of traffic accident and again, I don't want to, please don't take me the wrong way here. I'm not being, I'm not, I feel for the victims, but where do we draw that line?
I mean, that's a very legitimate point because then, you're coming awfully close to, and it's not an easy black and white answer because you're coming awfully close to regulating free speech.
Well, I think if you read through the bylaw, it's pretty clear that it would have to be on somebody's private property. They would have to approve it, and they would have to conform with everything that the building inspector wants. So if there's somebody who wants a memorial that's within town and they own it, they can put it on their own property. I mean, the idea that they're going to put it maybe where something occurred.
I see what you're saying. So not necessarily where the town is going to sponsor this sign. This is
Exactly.
totally on them. I get it.
And it doesn't, if it's on their property, I don't know that it falls under the residential sign purposes, but it could at least fall under, clearly to me, as a temporary sign, as long as
Right.
they're.
Well,
But I also think the sign bylaw regulates only a sign. It doesn't necessarily deal with something that doesn't fall within the definition of sign, which is why oftentimes you'll see little.
No, actually,
Side of the road.
this actually talks about banners. It's the
Banners is one thing, but like little.
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive, and that's why I say the building inspector has a good handle on it.
Yep.
And you know, if there's somebody who wants to erect a sign on private property, they can't erect one on town property. According to this bylaw, as I read it, unless, it has to fit into a certain, set of parameters, which I don't believe this does. So it would be a matter of the person who wants to put up a sign on private property, would have to go to the building inspector and, you know, and they could come to us if we needed some kind of approval, but I think the planning board has already done a good job of drawing the line and, you know, designated what they can do and where they can put it. So that's why I say we should just refer this person to the building inspector and just say, look, they're in charge of enforcement administration and let them lay it out, unless somebody has some other thought, but
No, I mean, quite frankly, I don't know that this board has any authority to make a decision on this topic because of that very reason, like.
yeah. Okay. Anybody have any other thoughts on it?
Sending her an email.
Kim, can you refer this person to the building inspector and give John a heads up?
Already on it.
All right, thank you. So you'd say 3C is discuss the reappointment process and required biannual ethics training requirement. I just put this as a placeholder on here because I wanted to see what kind of progress, and we are making progress towards everybody completing their ethics training. About half of the people to be reappointed have completed it. I know some have responded that they want to be reappointed and some haven't, so I just would, unless anybody has any comments or questions, I would just move this along to see how people's progress continues and look at this in August. Any other comments or questions?
Just how up to date is this list on the no responses? I feel like I've talked to some people that said that they've responded, so.
Well, it was given to me, this one that I have here, it was issued to me earlier today, and it looks like there are 8 or 9 that have not responded or being reappointed.
Yep.
And there are others that have responded that have not completed their ethics training yet. So, like I said, it's a work in progress, but it's better than it was the last time we talked. So,
Got it.
all right. So Article 4 or Item 4, consider appointments. I did talk to the highway surveyor. He asked that we pass over this and he'll address it next month. So I'm going to move over 4, and then we have year-end transfers. Can you bring those up? I know I can share it unless you want to, Lonnie.
Why don't you go ahead? Probably easier just because.
Yep.
Technology. So awesome.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have transfers. That's on the left side, all the 25,000 from legal, 5,440 from unemployment, $2,092 from long-term disability, $2,000 from highway expenses, $20,000 from highway overtime for the police department,
Nice.
$3,000 for painting, 3706 for the town hall floors, and then $9,000 for highway hired equipment. So this total of 70,238, and that same amount is to pay bills for lights, town hall internet expenses, Medicare, and town hall building maintenance.
I just asked what the lights is.
So Laura will tell you in great detail. So we're,
Lights?
no, it's actually our electric bill and the way we get reimbursed through Constellation, and
Yeah.
it's super,
Oh, okay. I just thought it was some Like, we didn't budget for streetlights or
No,
something.
No,
It's,
Or they went on too long. I get it now, that whole, the reimbursement part, I get it, yep. I'm good.
well, these guys might not
Oh,
know.
I'm sorry.
So because we entered into a solar agreement a couple years ago, the first one that we did, we get a certain amount of credits or whatever for being a part of that agreement. And so, but they're credits against bills that we actually get. And so there's some process for about reimbursement and timing and et cetera. And it's a real hassle. How many different bills are there? Like 12?
There's a lot of, there's Verizon bill, there's National Grid bills now, and then there's the solar bills from companies that keep getting the contract, and then we get Constellation, which is a separate thing. There's a lot of moving parts to it. It's interesting. It's hard to kind of wrangle everything. Get it.
You need an abacus.
You do.
All right, so unless there's any objection, I'll be looking for a motion to transfer the money as,
So moved.
do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Tenio, aye.
Chanel, I.
Goes I.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Right, and before you move on, just on this same one, I know, just for the building maintenance part, because we talked about this last time, a lot of this money is being encumbered, right, for the project that we have. But I actually think that we are at our final stages of cost on it. We now have the contracts in place to finish the rest for each of the pieces, which is exciting. The electrical work, the carpet, the paint, the drywall guy, the dumpster, everything. But just as an update, and I talked about this at our last meeting, after walking through it again and looking at the back and the ADA piece, we're definitely going to need to bring in somebody, like Danny's recommendation is we get somebody in here like to do a real design on the back piece around the elevator and the entrance, because that's, which of those walls can come down and how can we actually make that entrance look more like this place again? And so that's a November project. So we're going to paint it. We're going to make it look right. But I'm saying this now because eventually we're going to take down some of those walls that we're painting and people are going to say, how dare you paint a wall and knock it down 4 months later?
Concrete
Yeah,
walls down there in that section, like that's the original building down there. with
Right.
That weird add-on.
right. And so we're not going to try to mess with anything like the addition pieces. Let's put it this way. The staircase in the back is definitely very steep and is an issue, and the elevator is an issue right now that have to be addressed. So we're just in concept, we're talking about opening up that space where those walls were built where the bathrooms are to create more space and more light and more flow through there, since that's basically just rooms that we built.
Yep.
So we can take that out as long as, but a qualified person who
Yeah,
can
they-
pick the walls, but right?
An architect, right?
Not Danny and I marking walls, but like, it is very interesting. And we had a comment today about plan and about process. And I just want to add, one of the fun things about doing it this way is we had no idea when we started talking about doing this, what was even under some of the paneling downstairs. So it's all great. We had a beautiful study done, told us an idea of what we should do with offices. We're basically doing that, but flipped, right? So when we had our study done in 2015, it basically said we should have one big giant finance office and then other small offices and then have the entrance towards the front like a DMV sort of. We've just flipped that, which is now they're coming up the ramp and the finance is there and the window is there and the offices are on the other side. So we've met that plan. But the actual condition of the walls and the ceiling and who knew? So it's one of the things we're gonna attempt to do on the other side, which is challenging, is to expose the brick fireplace that's in there. And we have no idea if that's salvageable or whatever. So, and depending on the condition of that really determines the size of the office. It's everything kind of grows or it's organic. And so, so that this place can continue to be utilized in different ways for the next 100 years, right? So, but most of it's ordered and paid for is the point. So this should be good.
Great. I think it's coming along great. Down there.
It's amazing. The drywall alone today made me like,
Oh, did they put it in today?
oh yeah, it's so the window, the window cut out in the hall, like it looks legit. Like it's,
You know, when we were in there a few weeks ago and you would take, they'd something to come down off the wall and you expose the signature of the previous town clerk, Helen Gibson. And then there was another person, I actually sent a picture to somebody who was up in New Hampshire. And it was, I think it was his uncle that had signed it sometime back in the 70s.
right,
So it's just neat the way that you just find history everywhere.
right.
know.
Slow and steady. Slow and
Right.
steady. Oh, I should also say, as another aside, since painting was on here too, the library is currently getting painted in case anyone hadn't noticed. And that's happening fast as well. Like it's a dramatic transformation. So I just sent some pictures today to Mark Reel and of downstairs and next door, and he was shocked. I
Yeah,
said,
it's
"Oh,
finally getting done.
exactly. He's out the door and it's getting finished. So,
Maybe he was the holdup.
I know. That's what I did.
So it's not on the, I guess you'd call this something not anticipated was upcoming meetings. I know we had discussed previous to this about moving our meeting day to Mondays. And I know back when we asked everybody to pick their days and we picked Wednesdays all through the end of the year, the only area there was to do these meetings was in the room that you're in because of the technology. But now we have additional locations within the town where people can hold these hybrid meetings. And I'm just hoping that maybe Camry or we can work with the different boards and committees to try to carve out some space for us to meet on some Mondays.
Right.
And have others meet either in the police station meeting room or in one of the other locations where we have the equipment.
Right. Looks like it would be, so every night it looks like it's being utilized right now, every Monday night for a meeting.
Mhm.
So master plan or historic or planning board. So potentially, I mean, certainly I'm putting in another room downstairs too for smaller meetings and we can try to work with them to move whatever, not planning board, obviously,
Right.
but the other ones, I mean,
I mean, unless they want to move. But I think the police station space is available, but I think anybody who's got a claim now, that's where they need to stay, unless they're willing or want to move to a different venue if it's available.
well, we had told the boards last year to work with the town clerk to submit a list of dates.
Right.
And we have a calendar. So ultimately she's going to be responsible for juggling based upon dates that we give. So, and we'll help her to the best that we can.
So for now, we just leave everything the way it is. And
Well,
until we can possibly move it, right?
So was Wednesday? So let's see, so it was, Mike was not good for Wednesday, right?
Right.
And then what was?
Brendan
Tuesdays?
can't do
Yeah.
Tuesday,
I'm flexible except for Tuesday. Sorry.
Thursday,
Thursday, we'd be fighting with Concom
right,
quite often. Well, at least every other.
right. So, I mean, every day has something, a Wednesday, but we could try. Let me put it this way. So looking at the calendar coming up, so that's perfect. Sunday afternoon. So I canceled all of our meetings that we had scheduled today. Okay, so we have nothing on the books right now, so we can do anything going forward. We usually meet every 2 weeks, but that's subjective to depending on what we have or don't have, right? Try to meet every 2 weeks. I had us meeting on the 20th and then on the 3rd of August. We could probably try to do that. Still, that's Wednesday, but if we're gonna go to Monday, we could go to the 8th. We could try to go to the 18th. I don't know what's it's impossible. It's,
Well, let's just wait until you see if there's anything available to move it to the 18th, and or if we even need to have a meeting that week. For now, we just leave it on the 20th unless it can be moved, you know?
okay, well, I would say this, I mean, once we get into September, and we talked about this before, so September and October, and not November, yeah, September, October, and December all have Monday holidays too. So I'm not opposed, and this is more of a, I'm not opposed to having one longer meeting, right? If we, in those months, but that's the sort of thing that takes planning, because we have to invite people, and we have been doing really well the last couple of years, not meeting more than 2 hours at a time. I mean, not having marathon meetings, so every couple of weeks has been pretty good, but I'm open to whatever you guys want to try.
And so what's the issue with Thursdays? Is,
Conservation,
and how often do
CBA
they?
works that.
oh,
Okay.
CPI. I mean,
ZBA only
ZBA.
meets when
As
requested.
needed, yeah.
And so for the first and the third Mondays for master plan, they meet at 7. So that's, I mean,
And I'm wondering if they would be willing to meet over at the police station too.
right. And then if they move that, if we got at least one Monday set
If they move to Tuesdays even, the master plan, I don't know.
or Wednesday, take our spot is locked on the calendar from now through the end of the year.
Right, can we
So-
swap?
Yeah, if we have to move to Monday, we could just ask someone to take our spots, basically. But I would just worry about when we get into the months that are Mondays and there's holidays, because we can't bump to the 2nd and 4th because it's planning. That's all, right? Just keep that in mind.
Cindy, how about you?
No, the question I have is, I know you don't have a charter, but does anyone have any bylaw or regulatory requirement that they meet on a particular night?
I think it's just by choice.
Okay,
The only-
then you
the
do
only-
whatever you want.
The only thing I think that is in bylaw is when we have the town meeting and when the town election is. That's it.
Perfect. For me, it's catch as catch can, because, Wednesdays work out pretty well for me. I don't have a set enough schedule at the moment to be able to say one night is impossible, one night is good. I think Mondays can be a little tough because you're coming off a weekend. It's harder for staff to make sure things are in order, but that's up to you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely easier with agenda in 48 hours to do it on Wednesday, which is why we talked about that in the first place, right?
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Wednesday, and that's why we initially moved to Wednesday, was so that when things came in over the weekend, they'd still make the agenda and not have to wait 2 weeks. But, I mean, maybe we do a combination. Some Wednesdays, some Mondays, I don't know. I mean, it's,
Well, for now, let's leave everything the way it is, and the next meeting is scheduled for July 20th, unless a combination of we don't have anything pressing on the agenda and or we can open up the 18th. Right? So, anybody else have anything else on this?
I cannot be there the 18th.
Okay,
That I know.
all right.
I'm gonna put
That
it,
may be something you want, so.
Yeah, right. No, that's,
let's see, here's the thing, thinking of just, this is how that would work. So the 20th is a Wednesday, which isn't a problem, but deciding to move to Monday right now, we'd have to have the agenda in and set a week from today and then posted by Thursday.
Right.
So and I don't know that we'll even have material for enough for that by that time, right? So it just makes it, we're gonna have to double up is my point.
yeah.
eventually.
So we've got
Basically
we got about a week to decide about this next meeting, but
Right.
okay. Are we still slated for executive session, or is that not necessary now?
We are having it, definitely.
Okay.
It's a must do,
All
must.
right, well, and I don't have the language. Is this the language for the executive session that's on the agenda?
Yes.
All right, well, could we have a motion to go into executive session?
You usually, the chairman makes that.
Okay, and I move exec session purpose 2 for pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. Fire chief contract. I need a roll call vote.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Right, so Morale, I make the motion.
Yeah, hold on. I think we just need to also say, we'll reconvene only to adjourn. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tenio, ayes.
Chanel, I.
Brugos, I.
Morale, aye.
All right, I resent it.
Now, what are we doing? Are we going to a new link?
Nope, stay right there.
We're doing
No.
breakout rooms.
So click on rooms. Choose the number.
Can we shut the air conditioner off?
I'm going
really
to, because I'm freezing. And then we want manually.
We can, yep.
You need to shut that AC off. I can feel it from here.
That's the COVID talking.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I could put my sweater on in solidarity.
Perfect.
Oh,
Oh, wait.
no, I did it.
Yeah, good. Lights out. Lights in.
Back to assigned participants again. Oh, no, it's already there, so open the room.
What's this recording thing?
No, that's fine.
Oh.
It's gonna continue.
Oh,
to
because it's
record.
on the other side, yeah.
Yeah, so now we want to go into the room. Can you click on the left side maybe then?
What, here?
Yeah. I hover over that icon top there. It's that one. I'll cancel that.
Make an announcement.
You click the ad. Next week then. We did
That's, okay.
This worked the other day.
There we go. And then do you hit,
So we close this room. This guy should pop out. There you go.
Hey.
Take it out.
I guess they left. Okay.
Michael, I've joined back.
Bye. Oh.
There we are.
Okay.
Did that kick you out, Mike?
Yeah, I don't know if I left or if I get kicked out. I don't know, but I went back to the agenda and opened back up, so.
Okay, good.
Okay, so now we're back in a regular session.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
All right, we said we just to agendas, to adjourn. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Tenio, aye.
Chanel, I.
Brugos, aye.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
Thanks.
Have a good night.